Mr. Peasley.
You'll have to speak up there because I didn't have put my hearing aid. They gave it to me up in Togus, but you know, I didn't put. I'm very vain, you know, and I didn't put them in. So I'm gonna listen closely there.
Oh, when you were our age, what was a typical day like for you?
In my what? See, that's what I mean.
Okay, wait. When you were our age, what was a typical day for you?
Oh, no. I grew up in Bath, you know, Moss High School, and I was 7th, 8th grade. Yeah, I was playing basketball, same way, and we had about the same, you know. We had changed, you know. Of course, this is more country here, which is beautiful out here. You're in God's country, you know. I was in the city, well, you know, Bath, and make the destroyers, etc., like that. But it's about the same deal. About the same.
Where did you live?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Can you describe your family?
No, I can't.
Say it louder and more clearly, more slowly.
Yeah, you gotta go very slow and loud there.
Okay. Can you describe your family?
No,
Can you describe your family?
oh, well, yes, well, I grew up in Rockland, but it was during the Depression, and I never had something happen. My father left, and during the Depression, we had very little money. They didn't have Social Security and all the food stamps or anything like that, and because my father was in the First World War in the Navy, I went over to the Bath and a Naval Children's Home over there. It was a home for the veterans who were in the wars, you know. So I was there when I was 8 years old up until I went into the service, into the Marines.
Okay. What plans did you have for your life up until the time you enlisted or got drafted?
Well, before I went in the Marine Corps, I was just hoping I'd get out of high school. That's all. I mean, I figured that you know, that if I did well, you know, then that I would. I probably, if the war hadn't come along, I probably would have gone. I don't think I'd gone to college or like that. I think I would have probably gone to the coast. My folks come from Swans Island on my mother's side, and Peasley come from Jonesport, and I think that I probably would have gone fishing there, you know. I'd been a fisherman.
How old were you when you joined?
How old was I when I went in the service?
Yeah.
I was 18 there. Okay. Yeah, and I was in high school, and we had a good basketball team. Our coach was Stan Mazelowski, but he changed his name to Stan Stutz. We were undefeated. Run and gun, that was it, from Moss High School. When we left, and it all went to, you know, pot, you know. But I joined when I was 18 there.
Okay. How did your parents feel about your enlistment?
Well, my brother who lived his high school years down with my Uncle Roy and Aunt Clara down in Stonington, he joined the Marines before the war started. He was the B-25s, the instructor on the Marine Corps bomber, B-25s. So, yeah. Your turn, dear?
Oh, mine?
Army.
Ah.
So you're the Army, huh?
What war were you involved in?
What war?
Yeah.
Well, this is the 3rd Marine Division, but first, this is Shangri-La. And I was, after I come out of boot camp, I was at 8th and I. Now, 8th and I Street is the headquarters of the Marine Corps, 1775, way back then. But they're all, you know, they pass on, they're buried somewhere else. But that's the headquarters where I started there on 8th night down in Washington, D.C. I was there 2 weeks and they picked me. I put in, they had a choice, you know, when we come out of boot camp. What do you want to be? Well, I put down Carlson's Raiders. You know, you go in the submarine, you blow up the Japanese, all their oil and everything else, just destruct everything you can so they can't use it for the war. So, but they put me up guarding President Roosevelt. I was, 103 Marines were picked to go up into Shangri-La. Now this is Shangri-La. From the March of 1943 to June of 44, I was one of the guards up there, and there was 103 of us. And at Thanksgiving time, what happened of 1943, that they had the names of all the personnel there, 103 Marines with the officers and everything, and they had the meal, what they had for, you know, for the Thanksgiving dinner. And I sent it to my mother. I wrote on it, you know, and I sent $10, and I expected to take $10 and buy presents for everyone. Well, that's all. We didn't get very much money in the in service in those days, especially I was still a private, you know, so my mother kept that, and I still have it, and that's how I remember these things. Because out of the 103 Marines, which served 1943, there's only one live. The other one's out in California. They were, my buddy, he come from Boston, his name was Murphy. He and I'd go on Liberty together and have fun, you know. And he was with the, I think it was the 2nd or 1st Marine Division, landed on Okinawa. And he was paralyzed from the waist down, so they made a special car for him to drive, you know. And but a story goes that my other buddy, we joined the Marine Corps together, and he come from Bath too. His name was Warren Atkinson, and we got the president together up there, and he joined the 28th Regiment. That's the one that landed on Iwo Jima, and he wasn't killed there, but he died a few years ago there. But he was one of the ones that took Mount Suribachi, where the flag raising is, the Marines there. And I was in the 3rd Floating Reserve, 3rd Marine Division there. But to get back to the other story that you were talking about, that every 2 weeks, you know, when you join the Marine, you're 18 years old. What do you want to do? You want to fight, you know? You're 18, you know. You haven't grown old enough to start to think about what's going to happen to me, you know. You don't think about that. You say you can do anything. You can, you know, you can do anything. And so I'd go up about every 2 weeks, and I'd go up and I'd see the captain, and I'd say, you know, Captain, sir, I joined the Marines to fight, and they put me up here. Peasley, I know, I'm all right, and you'll get your stripe, don't worry. I was still a private, but I've worked, passed all the tests and everything, but I was still a private, you know? And I didn't get, well, probably $8 difference, you know. I think it was $18, and the other one get 20-something, you know, a month. And surprisingly, boy, that $18 went a long ways. But, so 2 weeks later, I went up again. Doctor, sir, may I talk with you, sir? You know, stand right up straight. And he'd say, yes, Peasley. Now, what Private Peasley? And I'd say, sir, I joined the Marine. Peasley, don't tell me again. Now I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you one. Do you know that you were handpicked? We don't just pick up any Marine and have him come in and take a ride in a submachine gun and guard the President of the United States. But, sir, you heard me. You are handpicked. So that I stopped bothering the captain, you know. But that was a story that I was. When you're young, that's what you probably might know. Some of the young men who joined the Marines, that you know, something like that, and that's what happened there. Then of course, I was shipped over in June. We went down Camp Lejeune at that time. June of '44, they invaded also Normandy, and we went through the Panama Canal. There was out of Norfolk, Virginia, the Marines. There was 2,000 Marines on board ship, and we had DEs because the German submarines were out there chasing us. They would have tried to sink us, you know. We went through the Panama Canal, got into Hawaii, and then from Hawaii staging area, then the 3rd Marine Division, I landed with them on, it was on Guam. And that's where up in the jungles there, I was a scout. We go in the jungles at night, you know, and things like that. So, and that was, and then we trained to go to Iwo Jima and Full Reserve. I buried the dead over there, and there was yeah, I can remember as on board ship the Callaway. Oh yes, I spent my 21st birthday on board ship. I didn't tell the other Marines. Oh no, they threw me overboard. No, they wouldn't throw me overboard. But but I spent my 21st birthday going to Iwo Jima, and they would bring on the wounded and the dying. I helped bury the dead. They put a canvas, but before they did that, they put a big shell on their foot so they'd sink, and they just sew them up, you know. And I stood there beside the rail, and because I wrote a poem about this, you know, and I stood beside the rail. Up, the body went into the ocean, and I just wondered whose son that was, or whose father, or, you know, just wondered. And I'll never forget taking the wounded down below, and the Marine said, "Don't drop me." I said, "You damn tootin' I won't, buddy." And the Navy, a Navy man on board ship there was crying. He said, how can you stand it, you know, all these dead and everything like that. These are memories, you know, that I have like that. Then, of course, we came back, and it was Full Reserve. They were still having trouble on Guam there. We took the southern part, the regiment took the southern part. Then we trained for for the land proper. 6 Marine divisions were going to land on Japan. And come to find out, we heard from up the northern part of Guam was the B-29 base. That was the Air Force. Because at that time it was called what you call the Army Air Force. Then after the Second World War they had their own institution like Annapolis or West Point, you know. And they said something big is going to happen. I said, what do you mean something big is going to happen? We've got to go in there, we've got to dig them out just like we've done with all the islands we landed on. And he said, no, something big is going to happen. I couldn't believe it. Then all of a sudden, you know, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, you know. It was the 6th and the 9th, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it wasn't long before I had enough 2 campaigns and I was on my way back home. I landed and they said, you get home for Christmas. Well, there we were at San Diego, and we didn't get home for Christmas. And we came by troop train all the way over, and that's quite interesting. And at Bainbridge, Maryland, and on January the 1st of 1946, I was discharged. Took the old troop, took an old coal Bennings, you know, train all the way from Bainbridge, Maryland. Had one more Marine on that train, I remember. He got off at Freeport and landed there in Rockland. And I didn't draw a sober breath. No, I just kidding. No, no. So.
Okay. How did you real life your? Sorry. How did you?
Interrupt just a second? Is it time for you girls to be dismissed?
Yeah, there's like 2 minutes. The bus is already
Yeah,
here.
it's ready.
No, why don't we go ahead and stop?
Okay.
And we'll just stop there.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We've had some
Yeah, you're
wonderful
welcome, dear.